My friends, I want to speak to you today about a matter of profound importance. In my decades of spiritual ministry, in counseling thousands of souls from every walk of life, I have been a student of demonstration. I have sat with the millionaire in his penthouse, consumed by ulcers and fear, and I have sat with the pauper in the tenement, consumed by resentment and despair. I have observed what men call success, and I have observed what they call failure. And through it all, I have also observed a third group of people. These are the individuals who demonstrate true, lasting abundance. They are not always the wealthiest in the land, though they are always perfectly supplied. They are not free from the challenges of life, but they meet them with a quiet confidence that is unshakable. They possess a freedom that the anxious millionaire cannot buy, and a security that the fearful pauper cannot imagine. They are the calm in the storm. They are poised, they are healthy, and they are, in the deepest sense of the word, prosperous. For years, I studied these individuals. I sought a common denominator, and I found one. It was not their education. It was not their background. It was not their specific talent. It was a simple, private, daily habit. It was something they did in their own consciousness, every single morning as faithfully as the sun rises. Now, when I say this, the average person immediately thinks of superstition, of some lucky charm or pagan ritual. I must be very clear. This has nothing whatsoever to do with superstition. This is pure spiritual science. What these individuals had discovered, whether by intuition or by instruction, is that there is a divine law of abundance. This law is as real, as dependable, and as impersonal as the law of gravity. You do not hope the law of gravity will work. It does work every time. You do not beg. The law of electricity to light your room. You conform to the law. You flip the switch, and the light must come on. The law of abundance is a mental and spiritual law, and the habit I observed is the switch. It is the conscious act of aligning one's own mind with the divine mind, the infinite source of all good. I witnessed the undeniable proof of this law during the blackest days of the Great Depression. It was a time of global trauma, a mass hypnosis of fear and lack. I saw men who had been captains of industry, reduced to selling apples on street corners. I saw bread lines stretching for blocks. The dominant thought of the world was, there is not enough. Fear was a plague, more contagious and more deadly than any physical disease. And yet, in the very midst of this chaos, a number of my students, common, ordinary people just like you, prospered inexplicably. While banks failed, they were secure. While businesses collapsed, they found new opportunities. While the world screamed lack, their needs were met often in the most miraculous and unexpected ways. Were they lucky? Were they special favorites of God? No, God has no favorites. They were simply quietly and persistently practicing this one, simple, scientific method. They were consciously refusing to participate in the mass hypnosis of fear, and instead they were aligning themselves with the one great truth that God is supply. This brings me to the greatest error in all of human thought. It is the error that keeps good, honest, decent people in a state of poverty, sickness, and misery. It is the belief that poverty and lack are, in some way, the will of God. My friends, that is a spiritual falsehood. It is a blasphemy against the very nature of the divine. God, the infinite source, the fount of all supply, the creator of this opulent universe, did not and cannot create lack, limitation, or scarcity. Look at the cosmos! The stars are scattered with a lavish hand. The seeds in a single apple could plant an orchard. The sun pours out more energy in a single second than humanity has used in its entire history. The nature of God is infinite overflow. Poverty is not a divine decree. It is a human-made error. It is the outer result of a lifetime of wrong thinking. It is the shadow cast by a mind that has turned its back to the light. God did not create the shadow. You created it by blocking the sun. God did not create your lack. You have manifested it by entertaining thoughts of fear, resentment, and limitation. The moment you fully accept this, your life will begin to change. The problem is not with God. The problem is with your concept of God and your habitual mode of prayer. This brings us to the mechanism of failure. Why do the prayers of so many good people go unanswered? Why do they pray for bread and receive only a stone? It is because the average person's prayer for prosperity is, in fact, a perfect, scientific affirmation of lack. Listen to the common prayer. What does it sound like? Oh God, please, help me. I am so poor. My debts are piling up. I don't know what to do. I am afraid. I need money. Please send me money. Now, What is this person really doing? From a metaphysical standpoint, he is taking a vivid, detailed, and emotionally charged mental picture of his poverty. He is focusing his mind with all the energy of his fear and desperation on his debts. He is telling his own subconscious mind, that faithful, impersonal servant, I am in lack. I am in deep trouble. I am defined by my debts. The law is simple. What you hold in your consciousness, you must manifest in your experience. The subconscious mind, the builder of your world, does not judge. It does not care if your thought is good or bad. It simply takes your dominant mental picture and gets to work to produce it in your outer affairs. If you spend your day thinking about your debts, you will only produce more debt. If you pray about your poverty, you will only deepen your experience of poverty. This is the great error. You are planting the seed of thistle, of the thought of lack, and then begging the law to give you figs of the reality of abundance. It cannot be done. It is a violation of the law. You would not go to a mirror, see a smudge of dirt on your face, and then try to bargain with the mirror to show you a clean face. You would not beg the mirror or plead with it. You would understand instantly that the image is just a reflection of the reality. To change the image, you must change the source. You must wash your face. Your outer circumstances, your bank account, your job, your physical health, are the mirror. They are only reflecting what is in your consciousness. To pray about the problem is to try and polish the mirror. It is futile. You must change your thought. I once conducted a spiritual experiment to prove this law beyond a shadow of a doubt. I had to. I saw too many sincere people breaking their hearts with prayers that were, in fact, an affirmation of the very misery they sought to escape. I gathered a group of my students. These were people from all walks of life, salesmen, homemakers, artists, and accountants, all of them struggling in some way with limitation. I divided them into two groups. To the first group, I said, for the next 30 days, I want you to pray in your traditional manner. Ask for what you want. Plead your case to God. Tell Him all your troubles. Beg for help. Do it with all the sincerity you can muster. To the second group, I gave a very different instruction. I said, for the next 30 days, you are forbidden to ask for anything. You are not to mention your problems, your debts, or your fears in your prayer time. Instead, you are to spend 5 minutes every single morning recognizing a single, powerful, specific divine fact. You are to turn your attention away from the appearance of lack and hold your attention firmly on the truth of abundance. The two groups went their separate ways. The results, my friends, were startling, though not to me, for I knew the law. The first group, the Oscars, the beggars, reported little to no change. They remained anxious. Any small relief they found, a tiny, unexpected check, was almost immediately consumed by a new, unexpected bill. Their consciousness of lack had not changed, so their reality of lack could not change. They were still polishing the mirror. But the second group, the recognizers, their reports were astonishing. They were not miraculous, in the sense of the law being broken. They were miraculous, in that the higher law of abundance had superseded the lower appearance of lack. One man, a salesman who hadn't made a commission in months, suddenly closed 3 major accounts in 1 week. He said, the ideas just came to me. A woman, a widow who was in danger of losing her home, received a letter from a long-lost relative, enclosing a check for an old family debt she never even knew existed, for the exact amount she needed. A third individual, an artist, had been struggling with creative block and deep discouragement. In the second week, he conceived a new idea, a new style that, he said, flowed through him with no effort. His new work was seen by a prominent gallery owner and his career was launched. What was the difference? The difference was not in God's willingness to give. The difference was in their consciousness. The first group was mired in the consciousness of, I have not. Their dominant thought was lack. The second group had been scientifically trained, for just 5 minutes a day, to change their consciousness. They had been taught to stop affirming lack, and to begin, systematically, to affirm divine truth. They had stopped planting thistles and had, for the first time, begun to plant the seed of figs. The law, being impersonal, simply delivered the results of their new dominant thought. The entire secret, the great key to life, is this: you must stop asking for what you want, and you must begin recognizing that, in spiritual truth, it is already yours. The difference is everything. It is the difference between failure and success, sickness and health, misery and joy. It is the absolute, polar opposite difference between the false prayer of, I have not, and the true, scientific prayer of I am. Your work, therefore, is not to change God. Your work is not even to change your outer circumstances. Your work is to change the belief in your own mind. Now, you are asking, what was that divine fact? What was the specific instruction I gave to that second group? What is the scientific method for moving from the consciousness of I have not to the consciousness of I am? That, my friends, is the golden key itself, and that is what I shall reveal to you next. Now, you are asking, what was that divine fact? What was the specific, transformative instruction I gave to that second, prosperous group from our experiment? What is this scientific method for moving one's consciousness from the error of I have not to the eternal truth of I am? This, my friends, is the golden key. When I call it a K, I am speaking with scientific precision. A key is not a force in itself. It is a tool, shaped in a specific way, that unlocks a power that is already present. The power to light your home is already waiting within the wires. Your key, the light switch, does not create the electricity. It simply allows it to express itself. This spiritual key does the same. The infinite, abundant, all-providing power of God is already present, right where you are. It is omnipresent. It is within you and all around you. It is not distant. It is not withholding. The supply is infinite. But you have, through habitual wrong thinking, locked the door against it. The key I am giving you is the tool, shaped by divine truth, that unlocks that door and allows the good that has always been yours to flow into your experience. The sacred word, the core of the divine fact that I taught my students, is hidden in plain sight throughout our most sacred scriptures. It is the very essence, the living heartbeat of the 23rd Psalm. The psalmist, a great metaphysician, did not ask for supply. He did not beg for it. He did not hope for it. He stated a fact. He said, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want."
This was not a wish.
This was a declaration of truth. It was a statement of being. It was his recognition of his relationship to the divine source, and the inevitable, logical consequence of that relationship. Because God is his shepherd, the result is, I shall not want. The word, the key, the divine fact, is this blessed. This is the word. This is the truth. This is the recognition that changes everything. Now, the carnal mind, the mind trained in lack, hears this and scoffs. How can I say I am blessed when my bank account is empty and my creditors are calling? And that, right there, is the very error that holds you in bondage. You are looking at the shadows, the outer condition, and believing it is the substance. You are looking at the reflection in the mirror and believing it is the reality. You must, for this practice to work, be willing to turn away from the appearance. You must be willing to believe in the substance, the spiritual reality, which is that you, as a child of the infinite, are blessed. Your blessing is your spiritual birthright. It is the fundamental, unchangeable truth of your being. The word blessed is a term of absolute, all-encompassing good. Notice the key is not rich. Richness is a limited, material concept. You can be rich and sick. You can be rich and lonely. You can be rich and consumed by fear. Rich is not the goal. Blessed, however, is a spiritual state. It comes from the Latin root benedictus, which means to speak well of. When you declare, I am blessed, you are speaking well of your life. You are invoking the divine law of good over every aspect of your affairs. You are declaring that you are blessed with divine ideas, blessed with creative energy, blessed with perfect health, blessed with right relationships, blessed with peace of mind, and therefore, as a natural, inevitable consequence, blessed with all sufficient supply. When you awaken and you declare with feeling, I am blessed, you are not asking God to bless you. That would be the old error, the affirmation of lack. Please bless me, because I am currently not blessed. No! This is 1,000 times more powerful. You are recognizing and accepting the divine fact. You are aligning your mind with the truth of your being. You are declaring, as a fact, I am blessed. This recognition is the most powerful form of prayer known to man. It is the prayer of acceptance. You are accepting the inheritance that has been yours all along. Now, it is not enough to simply understand this word. You must use it. And you must use it with scientific precision. You must use it to reprogram that deep, powerful, subconscious mind which is the builder of your destiny. This is the exact method I taught my students. This is the method that brought them prosperity in the midst of the Great Depression. This is the method that will work for you if you are faithful to it. The scientific method for its use, this is a metaphysical treatment. You must approach it as a scientist in a laboratory. You would not conduct a chemical experiment by, sort of, adding the ingredients, or by doing it when you feel like it. You would follow the instructions with precision, knowing that if you do, the result is guaranteed by the law. This is no different. I will give you the method in 5 clear, distinct steps. Every single step is crucial. To omit one, or to perform it carelessly, is to spoil the entire experiment. The technique 1. The critical moment, the golden hour, the timing of this treatment is, perhaps, the most important element. You must perform this treatment the very instant you return to consciousness in the morning. I mean this literally. The very moment you open your eyes. Before your mind engages with the world. Before you think of the day's problems. Before you check your telephone. Before you think of yesterday's failures or tomorrow's anxieties. Why? Because in that moment your conscious, critical mind, the part of you that argues, doubts, and fears, is still dormant. Your subconscious mind, Ella's, or what we call the subjective mind, is wide open, receptive, and profoundly impressionable. It is like freshly tilled, fertile soil, ready to accept whatever seed you plant in it. The first thought you consciously entertain and feel in that golden moment becomes the dominant keynote for your entire day. If your first thought is, "Oh, another hard day," you have planted a seed of hardship, and your subconscious will faithfully work to give you a harvest of difficulties. We are going to seize that golden moment. We are going to consciously plant the most powerful seed of good known to man, before the weeds of worldly fear can take root. 2. The physical stillness, the preparation, so, the moment your eyes open, do not move. Do not jump out of bed. Remain perfectly still. Now take 3 deep, quiet, deliberate breaths. Breathe in slowly and breathe out slowly. This is not just a breathing exercise. This is a profound spiritual act. With each exhalation, you are consciously letting go of the physical world. You are turning away from the body, from the problems on your desk, from the world of appearances. With each inhalation, you are turning within, to the spiritual reality, to the kingdom of God that is within you. You are centering your attention on the divine presence. These 3 breaths still the body and quiet the mind, making you a perfect, receptive channel. 3. The divine formula, the spoken word now. In that stillness, you will speak the formula. You must speak it either aloud in a clear whisper or, at the very least, move your lips and say it firmly in your mind. The spoken word has a vibratory power that is critical. It is the men to the thought. It is the act of clothing the spiritual idea in form. Here is the exact formula. You must say it 3 times, and you must understand what each part means. I am blessed. I am blessed. I shall be blessed. Let us dissect this, for it is a perfect scientific prescription. I am blessed. So the first utterance, this is your declaration of eternal truth. This is the I am of God. This is the recognition of your true, spiritual, unchangeable identity as a perfect child of the infinite. It is not a future hope, it is an eternal fact. You are affirming your divine nature, which was blessed before the world began. I am blessed. So the second utterance, this is the application of that eternal truth to your present moment. This is you bringing that universal fact down into your immediate, personal now. You are declaring that this blessing is not some abstract idea, but a present tense reality. Right here, right now, in this bed, in this room, I am blessed. I shall be blessed. The third utterance, this is the scientific projection of that truth into your immediate future. This is the command to your subconscious mind. You are setting the keynote for your day. You are declaring with absolute faith that the law of abundance will continue to operate in your experience. You are programming your day, and all the days to follow, for a continuous unfolding demonstration of prosperity, success, and divine good. You speak this formula clearly. I am blessed. I am blessed. I shall be blessed. Do not rush it. Say it with quiet, calm, unshakable conviction. 4. The receptive silence. The gestation, this next step is non-negotiable. Many people fail here. After you have spoken the formula, you must remain perfectly silent and still for 2 full minutes. Do not get up. Do not let your mind race to your schedule. For these 2 minutes, you must contemplate the truth of what you have just declared. This is the spiritual gestation period. You have planted the seed, I am blessed, into the fertile soil of your subconscious. Now you must let it be. You must, as the Master said, believe that ye have received it. This is the time for feeling. As I have taught you for years, a thought alone has little power. A thought combined with feeling is creative. In these 2 minutes, you feel what it is like to be blessed. What does that feel like? It feels like peace. It feels like security. It feels like gratitude. It feels like relief. You are not frantically visualizing a new car or a stack of money. That is the error of dictating how. No. You are gently feeling the inner state of being supremely, perfectly, and divinely cared for. You are feeling the truth of, I shall not want. This feeling of relief and gratitude is the Amen of the heart. It is the magnet that draws the outer manifestation to you. Do not skip these 2 minutes. They are where the true spiritual work is done. 5. The unwavering consistency, the law of habit. Finally, you must perform this scientific treatment exactly as I have laid it out, with unwavering consistency for 30 consecutive days. Why 30 days? Because for most of you, you have spent 30, 40, or 50 years practicing the wrong kind of thinking. You have grooves of lack, fear, and criticism worn deep into your subconscious mind. We are now going to cut a new groove. We are going to build a new habit of consciousness. It takes time to build this new habit, this new mental equivalent of abundance, until it becomes your natural, automatic way of thinking. And it must be 30 consecutive days. If you miss a single morning, you must begin the count again from day 1. Do not see this as a punishment. See it as a requirement of the laboratory. If you are building a complex chemical compound and you leave out a key step on day 25, you cannot just pick up on day 26. You have spoiled the experiment. You must start over. You are building a new consciousness. The old habits of fear are strong. They will fight you. On day 10, you may have a bad day and be tempted to say, it isn't working. That is the old consciousness trying to reassert its dominance. You must persist. If you miss a day, that old groove of lack is strengthened. By restarting the count, you are demonstrating your absolute, unshakable commitment to the law. You are proving to your own mind that you are serious. This is the method. It is complete. It is perfect. It is scientific. It is the key and the precise instruction for its use. This is the very method that brought prosperity to my students in the darkest of times. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a change-your-consciousness guarantee. If you will follow these instructions faithfully, precisely, and with unwavering commitment for 30 days, your life will be transformed. You will have built a new consciousness of abundance, and your outer world, by the operation of immutable divine law, must conform to your new inner reality. Now, my friends, we come to the most practical and, in many ways, the most advanced portion of this teaching. You have been given the golden key, which is the divine fact blessed. You have been given the scientific method for its use, the 30-day practice upon awakening, the specific formula, and the receptive silence. For many of you, this is all you will ever need. If you practice this with simple, childlike faith and unwavering consistency, you will see your world transform. Your supply will be demonstrated. But I am a spiritual scientist, and I must be thorough. I have seen many people begin this practice with great enthusiasm, only to stumble and fall away, declaring that it did not work. Let me be perfectly clear. The law always works. The law is immutable. If the law appears to fail, it is not the law that has failed. It is that our application of the law has been flawed. You would not attempt to wire a house, and then, after electrocuting yourself, declare that the law of electricity does not work. You would, if you were wise, realize that you had failed to understand or properly apply the law. It is the same with the divine law of abundance. I have, in my long ministry, observed 3 great stumbling blocks. I have seen thousands of people fall into these 3 traps, which sabotage their own prayers and nullify their own treatments. You must know these traps, you must recognize them, and you must avoid them with the same diligence that you apply to the practice itself. The first and most common error is the trap of mechanical repetition. This is the person who learns the formula, I am blessed, I am blessed, I shall be blessed, and recites it as he would recite a multiplication table. He says the words, but his heart is not in it. His mind is already on his first appointment, the argument he had last night, or the bill that is due. My friends, words without feeling are dead. They are as a check drawn on a bank, but with no signature. It is a worthless piece of paper. It is the feeling that is the signature of the soul. It is the feeling that impresses the subconscious mind. A thought in itself has very little creative power, but a thought that is electrified with feeling and conviction is the most powerful creative force in the universe. When you say, I am blessed, you must, for those 2 minutes of silence that follow, allow yourself to feel the truth of it. What does it feel like to be blessed? It feels like peace. It feels like the opposite of anxiety. It feels like the deep calm, quiet relief that would wash over you if all your bills were already paid. if your health were already perfect, if your supply were already secure. This is the spiritual Sabbath. It is the act of ceasing from the anxious, mental labor of trying to make it happen, and resting in the calm conviction that it is already done in the divine mind. If you say, "I am blessed," but your inner feeling is one of rush anxiety and doubt, you are planting the seed with one hand and digging it up with the other. The subconscious mind, that faithful servant, is confused. It receives the word blessed, but it receives the feeling of anxious, and the feeling always wins. You must, therefore, cultivate this feeling of peace. If your mind wanders, errors, and it will, gently bring it back. Do not fight it. Simply return your attention to the idea of blessed. Think of a time you did feel secure, even if it was just for a moment. Think of the peace of a beautiful landscape. Feel the gratitude for the very breath in your lungs. It is this feeling of calm, grateful, peaceful relief that is the amen of the heart. It is this feeling that makes the soil fertile for the seed you have planted. To say the words without this feeling is like planting a perfect seed on dry sun, baked concrete. It cannot and it will not take root. This brings us to the second great trap, which is closely related, the divided mind. This is the person who performs the treatment perfectly for 5 minutes in the morning. He says the formula. He feels the peace. He is, for those 5 minutes, a master of spiritual science. But then he gets out of bed. He walks to the kitchen, sees a stack of red, inked bills, and his heart plummets. This is hopeless, he thinks. He goes to his work, a client cancels, and he says to a colleague, "Just my luck. Nothing ever works out for me." He spends the remaining 23 hours and 55 minutes of his day in an agony of fear, resentment, complaint, and criticism. This, my friends, is what the Master meant by serving two masters. You cannot serve the Master of divine truth, abundance, for 5 minutes, and then serve the Master of worldly error, lack, for the rest of the day, and expect anything but chaos and failure. The subconscious mind responds to your dominant mental habit. If your dominant habit is fear, the 5 minutes of faith will be utterly overwhelmed. It is like trying to sail a ship north by pointing the bow north for 5 minutes, and then turning it south for the rest of the day. Where will you end up? You will end up hopelessly adrift, exactly where this person finds himself. Your morning treatment is the act of setting the compass for your day. Its purpose is to give you a keynote of truth, a home base of peace that you can mentally return to throughout the day. When the anxious thought comes, see, and it will, you must not entertain it. You must not indulge it. You must refuse to give it power. You must, in that very moment, mentally correct the error. When the bill arrives and the heart-sinking feeling comes, you must stop. You must become still. You must declare, silently but with absolute authority, that is an appearance. It is not the truth. The truth is, I am blessed. The law of abundance is my supply, and that supply is here and now. This is the true work of metaphysics. It is the moment-by-moment discipline of judging not according to the appearance, but judging righteous judgment. You must be a vigilant guardian at the gate of your mind. The morning practice is not a magic charm that exempts you from the work of mental discipline. The morning practice is the power up that gives you the strength to do the work of mental discipline all day long. Do not divide your mind. Give your full allegiance to the truth of your being. The third trap is the most subtle and, for many intelligent people, the most devastating. I call it the folly of outlining. This is the person who performs the treatment, but in his mind he is telling God how the blessing must manifest. He says, I am blessed, but what he means is, I must be blessed by my boss giving me a raise, or I must be blessed by my Aunt Mary deciding to give me that inheritance, or I must be blessed by that one specific client signing that one specific contract. This is a terrible, limiting and arrogant error. It is the finite human mind, with its limited view, its blind spots, and its faulty logic, attempting to dictate terms to the infinite divine mind. It is the equivalent of a man dying of thirst in the desert, who has been told that a rescue party is on its way, but who then declares, I will only accept water if it is brought to me in a blue cup by a man named John, arriving from the north. It is madness, and yet that is what you do when you outline your good. The divine intelligence, the source of all good, has ways and means that you, in your limited consciousness, cannot possibly imagine.
The channels of your good are infinite.
Your job is not to figure out how it will happen. Your job is not to find the channel. Your job is one thing and one thing only, to build the consciousness of being blessed. Your job is to focus on the what, the inner reality of abundance, and to leave the how, the outer channel of manifestation, entirely, completely, and with absolute trust to God. When you outline, you are not helping God. You are hindering Him. You are closing and locking a million other doors through which your good might have come, because you are staring with all your mental force at one single tiny peephole. The law is, maintain the consciousness of being blessed, and the divine mind will find the perfect, harmonious, and best channel for that blessing to express itself in your life. Often, it will come in a way you never could have predicted. I knew a man, let us call him Thomas. He was a good man, an honest man, a kind father. He owned a small mercantile shop, but he was consumed by worry. The times were hard, his debts were piling up, and he had a large note at the bank that was due, a note he could not possibly pay. He came to me in utter despair, a gaunt, gray figure of a man, defeated by the world's appearances. I gave him this exact technique. "Thomas," I said, "you must stop looking at your ledgers. You must, for 30 days, stop pleading with the bank. Your only job is to awaken and, before all else, recognize the divine fact that you are blessed." He looked at me as if I were mad. "Mr. Fox," he said, his voice trembling, "this is fine for a Sunday sermon, but I have a real problem. The bank will take my shop. My family will be on the street. How can I feel blessed when I am facing ruin?" I was firm with him, as I must be with you. "Thomas," I replied, "that ruin you speak of is only a shadow. It is an appearance. The truth is God's abundance. Which are you going to give your attention to? Are you willing to conduct this experiment with the same diligence you have given to your worrying? Or do you prefer to remain in your problem?" He was a drowning man, so he grasped the straw. He agreed, despairingly, to try. The first week, he later told me, was agony. He would say the words, "I am blessed," and his mind would scream back, "Liar! Look at the banknote! Look at the empty shelves!" He was in a mental war, a house divided against itself. But I had warned him this would happen, so he persisted. He did not miss a single morning. Around the 10th day, he told me something had shifted. He woke up, said the words, and for the first time, he felt it. A wave of peace, he said, a strange quiet relief, washed over him. He had, for the first time, truly prayed. He had entered the Sabbath. He continued the practice, but the striving was gone. He was no longer trying to make something happen. He was resting in the feeling that it was already done. On the 21st day of his practice, a stranger entered his shop. He was not a local. He looked around for a long time. Thomas, now operating from a new center of peace, treated him with simple courtesy, without the desperate anxiety of trying to make a sale. The stranger finally spoke. "I have been looking for a business in a town just like this," he said. "I am an expert in modern merchandising, but I have no experience in this region. You have a wonderful location and a good name, but your methods are outdated. I am looking for a partner." To make a long story short, this man was an investor. He made an offer to Thomas that was beyond anything Thomas could have dreamed of. The investor not only paid the bank note in full as a sign of good faith, but he bought into the business as a full partner, bringing new capital, new inventory, and new ideas that tripled the shop's revenue within 6 months. Now look at this. Did Thomas attract that man? No. By changing his consciousness from "I am in debt" to "I am blessed," he made himself receptive to the good that the divine mind had already prepared for him.
And notice the folly of outlining.
If Thomas had been outlining, he would have been praying for the bank manager to be nice and grant an extension. He would have been praying for a small loan from his brother-in-law. He would have been limiting his good. The divine mind's plan was not a paltry extension. It was total freedom,
Expansion and abundance.
This is the law, the essential preparation sweeping the mind clean now. For many of you, these 3 stumbling blocks are the only barrier. But for some, there is a deeper problem. The soil of your subconscious mind is so choked with the weeds of a lifetime of wrong teaching that the new seed cannot even find the earth. You cannot plant the perfect seed of blessed in soil that is saturated with the poison of toxic, limiting beliefs. You must, as a first step, perform a spiritual house cleaning. You must cancel these old beliefs. There are 3 great, destructive falsehoods that have been taught to humanity, beliefs that are the very opposite of divine truth, and which block abundance more than any other. The falsehood, money is the root of all evil. This is, perhaps, the most destructive misquote in history. The scripture does not say that. It says the love of money is the root of all evil, And what is the love of money?
It is idolatry.
It is making money your source, your God, your master. It is the anxious hoarding of it, the fear of losing it. Money itself is nothing. It is a symbol of exchange. It is a tool. It is God's ideas in circulation. To have it, to use it for good, to circulate it freely is not evil. It is a divine and necessary part of an abundant life. The falsehood, poverty is a virtue, the poor are noble, this is a tragic glorification of lack. Poverty is not holy. Poverty is a disease. It is a mental sickness. It is a form of limitation, just as physical sickness is. It is the absence of God's good. You can help no one from a state of lack. You cannot feed the hungry if your own cupboard is bare. You cannot comfort the fearful if you are consumed by your own anxiety. You must be full before you can overflow to bless others. The Master never glorified poverty, he healed it. He multiplied the loaves and fishes. The falsehood, God wills our suffering. This is the most insidious libel against the divine. This is the twisted belief that God wants you to be small, to be in want, to be in pain, in order to teach you a lesson or make you holy. This is a profound error. God's will is only good. God's will is only life, and that more abundantly. The divine nature is to give, to express, to flow. God is not a cosmic tyrant. God is infinite, loving principle. Any suffering you experience is the result of your own error, thinking, your own misalignment with the law of good. You must root out these poisonous beliefs. Before you can truly feel, I am blessed, you must cancel these lies. You must, therefore, perform this metaphysical treatment. Speak these words with authority. Speak them as a command to your own subconscious mind. I now cancel and dissolve from my subconscious mind every belief that money is evil or that poverty is virtuous. I cancel and dissolve every program of lack, resentment, guilt, or failure. I cancel and dissolve the destructive belief that God wills my limitation or suffering. I now declare as the truth of my being that abundance is my divine right. I declare that prosperity is God's will for me. I declare that money is a symbol of God's good, and I use it wisely, joyfully, and for good. I am a free, abundant, and perfect child of God. I accept this fully, freely, and gratefully now. Perform this treatment before you begin your 30-day practice. Use it any time you feel those old beliefs welling up. It is the act of sweeping the house clean so that the truth can take up its rightful residence within you. The ultimate purpose, abundance as divine service. Finally, my friends, we come to the deepest truth of all. We come to the motive. Why do you seek abundance? If you seek it for the small, personal ego, to hoard it, to show off, to hold power over others, to satisfy your vanity, you will find that your prosperity is hollow. It will be built on a foundation of sand. It will bring with it the very fears you sought to escape, the fear of loss, the fear of theft, the anxiety of maintaining it. This is the rich fool, in the parable, who built bigger barns only to lose his own soul. The true, spiritual purpose of abundance is not accumulation. It is divine service. You must come to understand the law of divine circulation. The divine mind, the source, is an eternal giver. The sun does not hoard its light. The ocean does not hoard its water. Life does not hoard itself. The very nature of God is to give, to flow, to express, to create. To be in alignment with God, you must also be a giver. You must become a channel for God's good. Think of a lake. A lake that has an inlet but no outlet becomes stagnant, salty, and dead. It receives but never gives. This is the Dead Sea. This is the consciousness of the hoarder. A lake that has both an inlet and an outlet, that receives freely and gives freely, is fresh, alive, and teeming with life. It is a center of blessing. This is the Sea of Galilee. This is the consciousness you must build. Your true function is to become a distributing center for God's good. The supply of the divine mind is infinite, but it needs a channel on this earth through which to express itself and bless humanity. You are to be that channel. When your motive shifts from getting to circulating, when your prayer changes from what can I get for myself to how can I be a greater channel of blessing for others, then something magical happens. The universe, the divine mind, will conspire to pour more resources, more ideas, more supply through you, precisely because you have proven you will not hoard it. You have proven you are a clean, open, and reliable channel. You have aligned yourself with the highest purpose of life itself. This is the final key. When you say, I am blessed, let it not be for your small self alone. Let it be a recognition that you are blessed in order to be a blessing. You now possess the complete teaching. You have the key. You have the method. You have the troubleshooting for the 3 great errors. You have the mental cleansing. And now you have the ultimate purpose. You have all the tools you need to transform your life. The law is before you. The work is yours to do. Begin it. Practice it with faith. Practice it with discipline. And above all, practice it with joy, knowing that you are not begging for a crumb. You are claiming your inheritance as the heir to an infinite kingdom. Prosperity is not something you must fight for. It is your spiritual birthright. Blessed.